Good morning, this is Dave Rogie. I'm here this morning on behalf of the Lake Chelan Sports Blog, and I'm speaking with the new head coach of the Chelan Goats track team, Erik Romero. Erik, thanks for taking time for me this morning.
Thank you for making time as well, Dave.
Erik, I know that you have been coaching around the school in different activities now for several years, but this year is your first year as a head coach. What do you feel? How do you feel different, I guess?
So the biggest thing, thank you to Lake Chelan School District for hiring me, but also responsibility too. Like one thing that I've learned as a young head coach now is like a lot more paperwork, as you kind of know with your job too, but most importantly, not just kind of figuring out the freshmen, but all the way up until the seniors as well. So definitely a lot of responsibility that way.
Coming out of this season, coming out of the other sports seasons and into track, any areas that maybe you have to start out a little slower with because of the lengths of the season, or do you guys go right at it?
No, so prime example, so all last week we had that kind of 4-day break with that Thursday and Friday with that for state basketball and everything. We did practice Monday through Wednesday. We had a little mini practice Thursday, and I know Coach Pitzinger, who's our throwers coach, had a practice on Saturday. So for us, it's really unique that we can kind of break it up that way. But as with any sport, if you kind of start too fast too soon, then kids tend to drop out or they just kind of get injured. So that's one thing we want to avoid.
This time of year, I suppose it would be even more concerning because some days it can be absolutely gorgeous, and you think, man, this is great. I'm going to be in my shorts and my T-shirt. And tomorrow you got sweats on and you're freezing. So do you guys have to do anything different based on that, or do you try to keep the same routine every day?
We do try to keep the same routine. On Tuesday of last week, prime example, we practiced in the gym, so we had to practice everybody together. You have almost 60 kids together in the gym, so then we kind of put the curtain down, and we had throwers on one side, sprinters working on just block starts with just feet and everything like that. It's a little old school, but then we went back outside, which is really nice. It's very beneficial to us. We can go use the whole field, and we can use kind of the rubberized track that we have out there as well.
The track team in general, coming into it right off the bat, do you see areas there where you feel you have strengths that maybe you can kind of set the program for the kids and let them work through it, and then there are those areas where you say, oops, we're going to have to really concentrate and maybe do some things a little bit different to get that level up a little bit? Do you see any of that, and what areas would you consider to be the strengths right now, and where would you say you see the greatest need for help?
Well, I'd say our greatest strength is we finally have a program, I think, where we're close to about 50 kids. If not, we're hoping to get a few more kind of this week. So for us, in general, this freshman class, all the way from football, volleyball, and everything in the fall sports till now, there's a big freshman class. So that is our greatest strength. I believe that we're going to be able to fill both everything on the girls and boys side, just about every single event. That's kind of something as a track program. If you have a good program, that's something that you can do. On the flip side, we're going to be a little bit inexperienced, kind of with having that big freshman and sophomore group, but also at the same time provides great opportunity, like I said, to kind of learn as you go, where like in other sports, where in football and basketball, you really don't get that experience until you actually play. Where track, it's open to anybody. Yes, it's individualistic sport, but at the same time, we have a huge team aspect and team feel to it, so that's going to be both a strength, but also kind of like, I don't want to say a weakness, but a learning opportunity. So.
Sure, that's probably a very good choice. You've got several seniors coming back, I know, and you've got people like Tony Padilla, who is a tremendous field athlete for field events. And then what about strengths? You have sprinters. You know, I know we've got kids like Donnie Watson and Tanner and some of those kids that are extremely quick. How do you see for your upper class kids and your seniors, what type of strengths do you see, and what about their leadership skills?
Well, that's a prime example. So because we've had, people like Jose Padilla, Haley Holiday, Bridget White, people like that have been in the program for all 4 years. And actually, Julian Buyas, Bridget, Haley, and Jose are 4 team captains. We have 2 boys and 2 girls. We have so many kids that, as a coaching staff, we decided and ultimately made that decision to have 4 team captains. So that will be, they all bring different, unique, and leadership qualities to the team. So that'll be huge for them. I'm excited for them because one thing that I've learned from other coaches is like, you're only going to have a really good team if the kids have a buy into it and if they have a kind of a say into it. So for me, I'm just like, those are 4 kids that I know they're going to be followed, but most importantly, they know how to lead very well. As for like you said, Jose Padilla, he's already committed to UW. He's going to be doing great things, but I challenged him to say like, hey, what is your legacy going to be when you leave? Like, you know, like what kids are going to be excited to be like, I want to be the next Tony Padilla or be better. And Haley Holiday's quiet reserve, and she's kind of competing, but man, she's a fireball. She's very talkative around her friends, and you would never expect at a state level that she's so out, you know, kind of exuberant, kind of outgoing. And same with Bridget. She's kind of been in that leadership role the last couple of years. So I believe kind of being that sprinter type, that there's going to be a couple girls that she has a great opportunity to mentor as well. Julian Buyas, he's just a hard worker. He's a guy that you tell him to do something, he'll do it to the various best abilities, and that's going to help us out down the road. So I think with those 4 kids in line to be captains, we're going to be great.
Good. Well, it sounds like you've got some exciting things ahead.
Yeah.
What kinds of goals? Every coach goes into a situation where they set goals for themselves and the team that they're going to put out on the field, and then they have the team goals. But what about Erik's goals? What kinds of things would you really like to see come out of this program by the end of the season?
Well, one thing I've actually learned is from Skip Boyd, who kind of mentored me a little bit. He is actually my head coach when I was in high school too. Was you always want to set that goal? You want to win league. You know, that's one thing that we haven't had a chance to do in a very long time. I think it was 2014 we were co-champions with Quincy at the time when they were down at 1A, and then the boys didn't have that. We were able to get some kids to state, but you know, overall, I think it'd be great to have that goal for Chelan High School. We haven't had it in a very long time, and I think it's like 15, 20 years where both the girls and boys were just outright league champs, and I think that's something that, for me, but most importantly for the team, would be a great goal to have. But obviously it starts today. It started February 29th, all the way down to the very end. So I think that's kind of our main objective right now, and then we'll worry about state, how many kids we get to later. But
at what point do you sit back and say, okay, I've established that these are going to be my sprinters, these are going to be my 4x1s, these are going to be my 800 meters. At what point do you as a coach feel like you need to have that decision firmly made going into the season to make some of those goals happen?
Well, what's unique as well, you know, I have three other coaches that I've bounced a lot of ideas, Brett Pitzinger, Mark Anderson, and Skip Boyd. All those guys, they helped me coach the last 4 or 5 years. So for me, it's like, I don't want to say like you're only an 800 runner or you're only a 400 runner. Like at the end, we want to win league for both boys and girls. We want to get as many kids to state as possible. And you know, one kid might be really good at this event, but if we have 3 other strong runners, we might put him in a relay. And that's kind of how we had the chance and opportunity to take so many kids to state at Cheney over the last 2-3 years. And that's something that I believe is our strength. We have so many kids now that we can kind of pick and choose what kids can go to relays, but also at the same time we do have 4 or 5 individuals that, whether it be sprinters or distance runners, that have that strength and opportunity.
Great. Last question I want to ask you, then I'll let you go because I know you've got a meeting coming up. But one of the things that you hear students talk about, or I hear students talk about when I do these interviews, is they say, well, one of the things that's important to me is being able to come back and give back to the community. You are a young man from this community. Mm-hmm. Good example. You have now had this opportunity. I know you've been involved with the programs here for several years now. How important was it and is it still for you to be able to give something back to this community?
Well, I think for me, like you said, I graduated, a few years ago. It was actually 10 years ago, something like that. But there's so many teachers that are still here that I'm co-working with. They're my co-workers, I guess you could say. But most importantly, they're my friends. And that's something that, for me, I always knew I wanted to come back to Chelan. I always knew I wanted to give back some way, somehow. And another way that I continue to give back is work with students to go to elementary school. It's called our Champs program, and just kind of give back that way. And to me, anytime working with kids, whether it be high school, middle school, or even elementary school, and that's why I do coach a lot. It is tiring, it is exhausting, but to see the reward of seeing 1 or 2 kids come back and say, because of this teacher, because of that coach, because of that principal, I wanted to give back as well. So for me, that's kind of the biggest draw that draws me to coaching or draws me to teaching, is because the opportunity to give back in so many different ways. And as you know, Dave, there's so many different ways you can give back, and just coaching is one small way that makes a big impact in the world. Absolutely.
Well, Erik, thanks so much for taking time this morning. This won't be the first time you see me. I'm sure you knew that.
Yep.
But also here in the next week or so, I'd like to be able to come out to practice and visit with a few of your athletes, see how things are going, see how you're feeling at that point, and if you're feeling like some of your plans are being met the way you hoped. And knowing you as I do, and having had the chance to watch you not only as a student athlete yourself, but also as a teacher and an educator around here at the school level, and with the coordinating things that you do, there's no question in my mind that those goals will get achieved. Whether it's this year or next year, you know, the point is that you will give everything you have, and I know that by knowing you, that to make that happen. So congratulations on having your head coaching position, and also good luck on a 2017 season.
Thank you. Thank you for the time.
I guess it's 16, isn't it?
Yes, 2016.
I'm trying to push it. This is Dave Rogie here with Erik Romero for the Lake Chelan Sports Blog. Thanks, Erik.
Thank you.